The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now.
This is News Talk.
Welcome along. Will O'Callaghan with you on this Tuesday after a manic bank holiday of sport. Brian O'Driscoll's going to be with us after 8 o'clock. He's looking at Leinster's victory against Toulouse. It is the first ever rematch in back-to-back years in the Heineken Champions Cup. They'll go up against the defending champions La Rochelle at the end of this month. Sam Allardyce looks like he's going to be appointed as the new manager of Leeds. It has been a day of change at Elland Road. Delighted we'll have Adam Pope with us on the football show. Dominic King will also be with us. Everton's battle against relegation. 2-2 draw for them last night against Leicester. Seamus Coleman picking up an injury which has probably ended his season. And the great Tommy Walsh is going to be with us to talk about Clares' victory against the All-Ireland champions Limerick. I don't know, because it's been a bank holiday weekend, Mick McCarthy, it almost feels like Saturday was a long time ago. A really significant result in the hurling championship where I don't know if you saw it coming, but not many people did.
No, being honest, I probably didn't. I would have been hopeful, and you like to kind of think that, you know, last year's championship form is more indicative, and than their league match earlier in the season, or, you know, Clare's form when they don't play Limerick at the moment. But, you know, it turned out exactly that. You know, this is a team that just matches up brilliantly, and they just put in a brilliant, like, epic performance. And yeah, really proud as a fan. You know, one of those games when your GA team does that for you, it doesn't happen all that often, where that's what you take from it. You just go like, do you know what, if they'd lost by a point, if they won by a point, just really proud of that team. And I love that. That's the essence of it sometimes, isn't it, in supporting a team. And they were great. And then at the same time then rewatched it again on Sunday morning.
Of course you did.
All the same stuff I did watch it on my phone, which I think we'll talk about in a while. So I wanted to watch the game properly on a TV, and rewatched it on Sunday morning, and was a lot more aware, I think, of the fallibility of Limerick watching, because you do watch it a little bit more as a neutral. I think the second time a little bit more analysing going on, and yeah, there's a part of me that'd be worried about the form of Limerick, and then you think, Jesus, and yet they only lost by a point. So there's like endless amount to take from it, really, you know.
It's a shot in the arm for the championship too, because so many of us were basing all our calculations on Limerick will be top of Munster. It's a battle to be in the two positions below them to qualify for the All-Ireland series. And now you start to wonder, is that huge element of danger now, where Limerick have still got some difficult games to play. They probably need to win their last two matches even to be guaranteed of a place in the bottom three. And that safety net that we expected, because all of us thought Limerick would pretty much win their way through to the last round, is now out the window.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Clare will need to win both of their games, strangely enough. They still need to beat Waterford and Cork to guarantee going through. But I would say even for
Are you basing it on Tipperary are likely to pick up quite a few points elsewhere?
I'm basing it on the idea that even if they don't, it will probably come down to points difference. And I think the fact that Tip have, you know, I think everyone in this scenario might end up beating Waterford, and you think Limerick might put in a big performance somewhere down the line. And, you know, that's kind of what you're thinking. Like, is like... And the fact that Clare played a week before everybody else as well, they have their off week on the last day, which means that everyone else will know what they have to do. So it is just one of those kind of like, I'm only looking at that from one county's perspective. Limerick have the same thing going on. Tip and Cork will be thinking about it if they don't win, whoever loses next weekend when it's the only game on. So that just shows you, I think, how open and brilliant and exciting the whole thing is. It's just, for some reason, it's the competition that just keeps on giving. I don't think we've had a dud yet.
No, you mentioned that you had your phone out to watch this at the weekend, so you were GA going it on Saturday.
Yeah, all worked perfectly. No app issues this week, and yeah, really good coverage. I thought, actually, Lee Mahern and Tommy Walsh were on commentary. We had full punditry team, the whole thing. Like, so, yeah, would have no complaints from a user perspective this week.
My only complaint,
let's be honest.
You can be honest about it. I thought the GA coverage was good. I watched it too. Had it on the laptop, watched it home. Happy days, no problems this week. My big issue, Mick, was that there was no terrestrial TV highlights afterwards. And there's no Saturday game this week. In the end, after all the trumpeting about the Saturday game being added to the schedule, and this was going to help with the 99 championship matches that are being squeezed into a short period of time this year, we now will go 2 weeks without the Saturday game being on. And I think there was a massive chance missed, where a lot of people would have heard that Clare had just beaten Limerick, this Limerick team who looked like they were never going to be beaten, and you couldn't watch it on terrestrial TV for even just highlights on Saturday.
Yeah. I suppose I don't, I have an issue with GA highlights in general and how they're presented, and I don't know how much you would have got for that, or how much of a difference it would make.
You happy enough to take the 3 minutes of Twitter highlights and move on?
Maybe, yeah. There's been just this ongoing conversation, I think, since Saturday night, is that this astounding thing happened that lit the hurling season on fire, and it wasn't on terrestrial TV, and then people start complaining, why wasn't this game on TV, in the way that they always have since the Sky Sports deal all the way into the GEA Go Now thing, as if these aren't decided in advance, and that that RTE just didn't bother to show the game on Saturday night, which kind of annoys me. It's like, it's every time we have a great game, there's just this like, this should be on national TV, it's a disgrace, our games need to be shown. And it's like, we'll get into it in a second, but like, let's face it, we see more games than even just on RTE without other extra games than we've ever seen before. You can't show everything. The problem is that both championships now, with the football this year especially, have been elongated to such an extent that RTE or the terrestrial television deal didn't expand. And I can't understand it. I can't understand that the GA have made their third deal in a row with the same amount of exclusive games.
Well, they also
for RTE.
made a deal with themselves.
But of course, but we'll get to that. But what I'm saying is, for the RTE deal, let's say, that should be like a terrestrial deal, be it RTE, TG Carter, Virgin, whatever. They haven't increased the amount of games, despite every time the deal has come up, there's been more games in the championship. So the hurling round robins, and now we have the Tailteann Cup, as well as the All Ireland series in football as well. So there's like, what did you say, 99 games?
Yeah.
Like, we're getting to the stage now where for the next 2 weekends, suddenly we have the provincial football finals taking place at a time of year where they never did before, and there's going to be no hurling at all on RTE for the next 2 weeks, and Tip and Cork is going to be behind a paywall. So argue all you like about GEA Go, argue all you like about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, or reasonable or not reasonable, or whether it's any different to Sky, or whether it's a better deal for people or a worse deal for people. Regardless of anything you say, it is behind a paywall. And now you have Cork and Tip next weekend in the Munster Championship, in this like brilliant game where both teams have started the season fantastically, and it's going to have a huge interest. And sorry, I just want to finish the point that on the Clare Limerick thing, I tweeted about it, and people are like, I didn't see it, didn't know it was on, and it's like, you appeal to your hardcore people who are going to pay 80 quid. I paid the 80 quid and I'm going to watch it, and I think it's brilliant, but that's not how you grow a game. And if they're just watching 4 football games next week, or for the next 2 weekends, and the hurling is just existing off in this ether, and to be honest, the exact same issue was happening in the opposite way for the last couple of years, because the hurling championship was all the top teams playing each other, and the football championship was easing its way in, and people weren't seeing any of it. So I can't understand how they didn't increase the amount of games that was available when the championships have got bigger.
Yeah, I was just thinking, on the flip side, the argument is, if you're going to use the 2 TV slots which are available for the next 2 weekends, and you had decided that, say, the Cork game against Tipperary this Saturday night was better placed being at 2 o'clock on Sunday, and you end up putting one of the provincial finals behind a paywall on GEA Go, understandably, particularly with the way the provincial finals have fallen this year, people will complain and say, this is Clare's moment in the sun, Sligo's moment in the sun, Louth into a Leinster final for the first time.
I don't think those games shouldn't be on TV, by the way. That's not my argument at all. Like, it's, you're 100% right in what you say there. Like, yeah, you have to show these games, or else these bloody, maybe we have a conversation with ourselves when we say that we've had the draws for as Richie will get to in a second, we've had the draws for the All Ireland series, and everyone who's in it basically is going to go through to the next round anyway, and it's all starts again. And the provincial championships, although they've thrown up a few good games that they've been interesting, actually don't matter, or actually once you get to the final they don't matter. So it's like the league finals in Division 2, 3 and 4. It's like once you get to the final, they don't matter anymore. And maybe we should stop pretending that they are this big thing. Well,
look, I don't really like 24 games to eliminate 4 teams, but that's its own thing. Richie McCormack, how are you?
I'm grand. Just on to Mick's point there about the lack of awareness around that game on Saturday. That's a huge problem for the GEA, and it's one that they've been really slow to rectify over a number of years. They are appallingly bad at promoting their own games, like appallingly bad, and that goes to their social media use, it goes to their use of the likes of YouTube, etc., in terms of packaging their own highlights. The RTE paywall stuff is a separate issue, but just in terms of naturally promoting their own games week on week, informing the public who mightn't be the most GA or sport aware of what the big game is, what the big meaning behind it is, they have a job to do there as the curator of these games. And if they're not doing it, then they should put it in the hands of people who can do it. And for as much as I can see over the past number of years, it just hasn't been done. There's a press launch at the start of the championships. There's occasional dips in and out as regards major events, but on a consistent basis, and having a regular highlight show is part of that. And like consistency is absolutely everything. You need to know that at a certain time, a certain day, you're going to be able to catch up on your GEA fix. And they're all complicit in not doing this. And it's really shoddy from what should be pretty much a home run for as I say, the curators of your national games.
Yeah. Richie, just on a point that you just made there's another point about GA Go that actually I meant to say that I think is important. I was in a non-GA pub with non-GA people. I was watching the game on my own outside on the phone, right?
What kind of pub were you in, Mick?
Why do you ask?
A non-GA pub.
It was a hotel pub, right? It was a golf day out, right? And
you in Buswells with all the high polite.
It wasn't in Dublin, but it wasn't a GA pub, right? And I would say that GA pubs will have GA Go. Non-GA pubs will want live sport on, and they have Sky Sports, and there was golf on or something, some meaningless tournament in the PGA Tour, right? And I know from even people like gathering around my phone who had no interest in GA that the higher the drama got, the more people were gathering. We've all been in pubs when we've seen that. When games get good, people start to pay attention, they gather over. It's an incredible advertisement for the game. These pubs aren't going to have GA Go because it's a one. They're going to have RTE and they're going to have Sky Sports, and they would show live sport on a Saturday night. And all those games would have been on last year. And I think that's important as well, because again, you're talking about growing the audience. You're talking about people falling in love with a game. You're talking about people getting like stuck into a game like that on Saturday night and thinking, I want more of this, you know? So,
well, like that's just stuff that they haven't forethought. Like exactly. that's issues that they just thought, oh, well, we have this streaming service, we'll let people go out and get it, we'll let people go out and subscribe to it, and that's fine. There's no legwork behind it to see gaps that might be, evident, and pubs being one of them, and making it more amenable to places like that to have GEA Go, to make it a more accessible and to make it a more visual game, because that's hugely lacking at the moment, and it's their fault.
The prices aren't actually extortionate even for pubs, but again, it's just that need for, if people don't come in here and watch hurling anyway or watch football anyway, so why won't we get it? Whereas getting Sky Sports to the pub, it does cost a fortune, but it's worth it because you have Premier League every Sunday.
Would it be slightly different, Rich, if they had decided at the outset, knowing that this deal was coming in for the next few years, that they got a slot on the Sky EPG and got a slot, say, on Virgin Media, where there was actually a physical channel?
Yeah, it's doable. Like, there's all ways around this now in the modern age of having, apps and having been able to stream it, and with Now TV and with whatever you might have on an Apple TV or whatever you might have on a Fire Stick. Like, there's so many ways around these things. And you can cut a deal with the pubs and Vintners Association, whoever you want to do it with, and have it available in public houses, or if that's what you want to do. Unless they just wanted to go down the selfish route and avoid that and have everybody paying the 80 quid or whatever it is a season just to maximise the revenue. Because if they wanted to maximise the revenue, they should have actually sold these rights to another TV company to have as many games as possible broadcast, and they decided to keep them in-house. Their logic behind that, I don't know. I'm not privy to it. I probably will never understand it, even if it was explained to me. But you should be able to maximise your revenue and put as much of a face forward for your games to the public as you possibly can. And right now, they're not doing it.
Paul on 53106 making the very fair point. Some shock in Limerick when 1 point separated two teams that drew on 3 different occasions last year, which I know is a very fair point, but Limerick have just been so dominant in the championship since 2019. Lads, not enough as we made the Big Sam news. We'll get round to that in the Newsround now in a moment.
You know, when you did it in your intro, I actually just started laughing to myself, because even though we've been talking about it for 2 days and this isn't news to me, it was just hearing you say it on radio there that just actually made me giggle. Like, Big Sam is back again.
I see you're back in the appointment
for like the 40th or 50th time since it's bananas. And do you know what? I don't even disagree with it, because the way Leeds have been going, they had to do something. They were going down otherwise. They might still go down, Well, why not try something?
Anne-Marie in the office made a very fair point.
Why not try something?
Why not try something else? Anne-Marie in the office made a fair point earlier, Mick. The narrative always used to be Big Sam's never been relegated. He has been now, though. So he's not the safe pair of hands he was guaranteed before.
But he has Carl Robinson now, Will, so it's going to be grand.
Javi Gracia was definitely going to get relegated. So, like, why not try someone that's like again, I'm not suggesting this is like a genius move.
I really hope this is how high-level board decisions are made. Why not?
It feels like it.
But I'm just saying there's literally 4 games to go. This isn't like any kind of, this is disaster territory. You know, emergency break glass. Big Sam pops out like a jack in a box and into Ellen Road he pops.
Doing that pose he did when he kept Sunderland over that time, shedding the jacket and going, "Wee!" Yeah.
I don't know. We said it about Frank Lampard. Win-win for Lampard going in with Chelsea. What's the worst that can happen? Is this win-win for Frank Lampard or for Sam Allardyce even? He goes in. If say the 4 games don't go well, it's not going to tarnish his legacy. He goes back into retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's it. Like, Frank Lampard is like 40, you know, and is supposed to be a manager for the future, and everything's going horribly wrong. Like, Sam's had his career. He's okay. He'll pick up the check.
On the text as well, Jason from Kildare. Don't let Mick get away with not talking about Aston Villa today just because they lost. He was talking a big game, and now he's back in his box.
I'm sick of talking about Aston Villa. They lost the game.
You were loving the last 17
games. They lost
games.
at Old Trafford. When was the last time Manchester United lost at Old Trafford? August, was it? Yeah. So, like, what's the big deal? They've literally got 11 players at the moment, Villa.
Champions League gone now.
Champions League is gone. This is bullshit. I never said that they were going to the Champions League or anything like it. I still don't even think they're getting to Europe, but we'll see what happens. Great season, irregardless. I'm just
asking you questions. I'm not looking to misrepresent you here. The Newsround is brought to you by Gillette Labs. You can get the ultimate shave.
Bows winning 5-0.
Well, we can get to that in a second.
Yes.
Or get your money back. Neon Night Edition available now.
4 points clear. 4 points clear.
4 points clear. I saw Richie putting up 5 points clear recently as well. But anyway, 4 points clear at the moment, Richie. It's not been a bad bank holiday weekend for the Bows, the leaders in the Premier Division.
Well. The UCD result on Friday was terrible. There's no escaping that. But yesterday was a major shot in the arm. Let's not get away from that. But there is football tonight. Arsenal can reclaim top spot in the Premier League, albeit temporarily. They welcome a woefully out of form Chelsea to the Emirates, where kickoff is at 8. Arsenal bring in 3 players to the team beaten by Manchester City. Jakob Kivior is in defence in place of the player escapes me there. Rob Holding has gone out there. Into midfield then, and into the front 3 come Leandro Trossard, and Jorginho's in there as well. Kepa starts in goal for Chelsea. They've reverted to a back 4 because, hey, why not? Cesar Azpilicueta, Wesley Fofana, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell are the back 4. Across midfield then, N'Golo Kante, Enzo Fernandez and Mateo Kovacic. Noni Madueke comes into the side. Raheem Sterling remains, and making his first start, since November, which also came against Arsenal, is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Again, why not? An Arsenal win will move them 2 points above Manchester City, but with 2 games extra played.
You've ruined Chelsea for me, Richie. A couple of weeks ago, when they're getting ready to play against Real Madrid, you were pointing out that there's always this one player out of nowhere who you almost forgot was still playing for Chelsea, and next thing you just parachute into the team. Aubameyang, I don't think he's even tweeted since Christmas, such was his annoyance at Chelsea. And here he is now playing against his old club.
Why not? Why not? Give everything a go before you go out the door.
Big Sam up front.
Absolutely. Why not? There's much point of, I don't know, me or you playing up front for Chelsea over the next few weeks as there is for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They're a basket case club. Half the players won't be there or shouldn't be there next season. The manager certainly won't be. So you might as well see what sticks over these last few games. And that apparently is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
If the title of the podcast tonight isn't just why not, I'm going to be ashamed of the
You have to try something. I think we've all agreed that, you know.
Yeah.
There's going to be change in the women's rugby head coach position, it would seem, Richie. This was first reported by Brendan Fanning and by Rory O'Connor in The Independent yesterday evening, but it seems to be moving towards a point where Greg McWilliams is going to depart his role.
Yeah, no confirmation just yet, as uncertainty continues to hover over the women's head coach's position. As you mentioned last night, the Indo reporting that McWilliams had informed some of the Ireland players that his time in charge was at an end. The IRFU did release a short statement this afternoon, neither confirming nor denying his departure. In it, they wrote, the IRFU can confirm that it is in discussion with Greg McWilliams, and until these discussions are concluded, no further comment will be made, end quote. Ireland ended the Six Nations, of course, with a wooden spoon with defeat to Scotland just over a week ago. They conceded 167 points points, an unwanted Irish record, scored just 3 tries, and are now in Tier 3 for that forthcoming Women's 15 competition.
Rugby royalty in Limerick today, Richie, including we got an injury update on Johnny Sexton.
Yeah, from the horse's mouth as well. He's confident he'll be fully fit for the Rugby World Cup. The Ireland captain had his season ended by a groin injury in the Grand Slam ceiling win over England back in March. But speaking to our Aisling O'Reilly at the launch of the International Rugby Experience in Limerick, Sexton allayed fears his return could be delayed.
My goal is to be back fully at it in pre-season from day one. So that's the goal I've set for myself and with the physios, and kind of told them that's what we need to be doing. I spoke to Josh, who had a similar injury a few years ago, and he got back in like 9 weeks. And so I was like, maybe, if we got to the URC final, I could maybe, but I think my age might go against me a little bit on that one. So the surgeon said no. I'm going to aim for 19th of June, we're back to pre-season, so my goal is to be back fully fit and flying it then.
Were you hoping to get back for the Champions Cup final?
Well, obviously when I hurt myself, that's why when I heard it against England and I was coming off the pitch, I was really concerned about, finishing with Leinster. Playing for Leinster has meant a lot to me over the years, and I was, just asking the doc, when will I get back? Will I get back for the end of the season? And he knew at the time, no. So he was kind of like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And so, look, it's been, very disappointing. But hopefully the lads can go on and achieve something special, which would be winning, the Champions Cup. I think that's the first final. And then hopefully we can get to the URC as well.
There you go. Johnny Sexton speaking earlier today. There is a mega podcast off the back of those interviews, including Brian Habana, who was speaking in Limerick today, which is available on the Rugby feed wherever you pick up your podcasts. You were smiling and laughing. Is that you saying Johnny Sexton's actually going to be back for the Champions Cup?
No, it isn't. No, I'm enjoying Johnny Sexton acting like a kind of a business manager, saying, I told the physios that's where we need to be. It's like,
the opposite.
It's like how long do you need for this report? 2 weeks? Can you do 2 days?
Tell us about the draw. We alluded to the football championship and Tailteann Cup draws a little bit earlier on, Richie, but give us the details. Yeah,
Mayo are going to play Cork, that's for definite, in Group 1 of this year's All-Ireland Football Championship. The Allianz League winners will also be grouped with the eventual Munster champions, which of course could well be Kerry, and the Leinster runners-up. Tyrone and Westmeath await this year's Connacht champions and the Ulster beaten finalists in Group 2. Group 3 is going to be comprised of the Leinster champions, the Connacht runners-up, and then Kildare and Roscommon. And there's a strong Ulster flavour to Group 4, which already contains Monaghan and Donegal, and will also have added to that the Ulster champions and the Munster runners-up. Meath were drawn with Down, Tipperary and Waterford in Group 2 of the Tailteann Cup. Group 1 will host Division 3 winners Cavan, Laois, Offaly and London. In Group 3 then it's Limerick, Wicklow, Longford and Carlow, and rounding out the Tailteann Cup draw in Group 4 are Fermanagh, Antrim, Wexford and Leitrim, as I say, in the final group.
Yeah, only one team will drop out of each group.
This will be a brilliant tournament when we get to when they realise what they're doing and get to 2 go through, 2 go out, and straight into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think this is the easing in.
It's all ready to be brilliant here, but just the 3 teams through is a farce.
Yeah, be cutthroat when it's 2 each. Also, Richie, just before you finish up, St. Pat's have a change in management.
Yeah, St. Pat's this morning parted company with head coach Tim Clancy. Yesterday's 1-0 defeat at home to Sligo Rovers was the Saints' 3rd consecutive loss. Assistant coach John Daly has been placed in interim charge. That's ahead of Friday's Premier Division trip to Cork City. Speaking to Oisin Langan after yesterday's defeat to Sligo, Clancy still thought he could turn things around at Richmond Park.
There's no point going heavy on them. I don't think they're lacking work rate and attitude. It's just at the minute it's probably a little bit low on confidence, and it happens very quickly with results, so it's picking them up and getting them to realise that they are good players, and when they are confident and playing well, they can go on a run like they did 4 games in a row before the last 3 games. So that's what we need to get back to in ASAP. There you go. And also, Mick, you were taken in by the magnificent Shamrock Rovers goal, which has gone pretty viral from yesterday.
It was a great win from Rovers away to Derry, even though Bows are 4 points clear. But yeah, people will have seen Richie Towell's goal, and if you haven't, it's worth seeing. Just a phenomenal team goal, just beautiful football all the way around. So I know Bo's got some good goals as well,
Jordan Flores' free kick.
Yeah.
Work of art, Michael.
You're right, but the Rovers one was better.
Yeah, he's going to point out they're still 4 points clear. Richie, thanks a million.
4 points clear.
Mick will be back with us a bit later on as well. That is the Newsround.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
Now we've a big amount of money to give away on the cash machine.